The story begins in a quiet kingdom where a young prince lived inside a large but simple palace. The palace was not full of gold sounds or loud music. It was calm and clean. The prince was still learning about life and people. He woke up every morning when the sun was soft in the sky. He looked out of his window and saw the palace yard and the people working there. He felt curious about everything around him. He did not feel proud or angry. He felt gentle and calm. The prince liked to walk slowly and think about his day. He often asked himself how people lived and what made them happy. Even though he was a prince, his heart was simple. He wanted to understand the world, not only rule it. This was how his quiet journey began inside the palace walls. Many servants lived and worked in the palace every day. They cleaned the rooms and halls. They cooked food in the kitchen from early morning. They carried water and washed clothes. They worked in the garden and cared for flowers and trees. Their work was not easy. They woke up early and slept late. Still, they did their jobs quietly. Some servants smiled, and some felt tired. The prince watched them from far away. He noticed their hands, their faces, and their slow steps. He saw how important their work was. Without them, the palace could not live. The prince felt respect in his heart, but he did not know how to show it yet. He only watched and learned. Each day, his thoughts grew deeper, and his wish to understand people became stronger. The prince was taught many lessons by teachers. He learned reading, writing, and numbers. He learned how kings ruled and how laws worked. But he felt something was missing. These lessons were important, but they did not teach him about real life. One day, while walking through a long hall, he saw an old servant resting. The servant looked tired but calm. The prince stopped and asked him how his day was. The servant was surprised but answered honestly. That small talk stayed in the prince's mind. He realized that simple words could bring comfort. He understood that listening was also a kind of strength. From that day, he began to greet servants more often. He smiled and said kind words. Slowly, a soft change began inside the palace. One morning, the king had to travel far to another land. He called the prince and spoke calmly. He told him to take care of the palace and learn while he was away. The prince felt nervous but ready. He wanted to do his best. When the king left, the palace became quieter. The prince decided not to stay in his room all day. He walked around and watched how things worked. He asked servants about their work. He listened without hurry. He did not give orders. He only listened. The servants felt strange at first. A prince asking questions felt new. But they saw honesty in his eyes. They slowly opened their hearts and spoke freely. The prince learned how hard their days were and how little rest they had. The prince then made a simple choice. He decided to help. He did not tell anyone first. One day, he carried water with a young servant. Another day, he helped clean a room. His hands were not used to work, but he tried. His clothes got dirty, but he did not mind. The servants watched in silence. Some felt happy. Some felt worried. But the prince stayed calm. He worked slowly and carefully. He asked how to do things right. He thanked people for teaching him. With each small task, he felt closer to them. He learned that work was not shameful. It was honest. It gave meaning to life. His heart felt light even when his body felt tired. As days passed, the palace changed. The servants talked more and smiled more. They felt seen and respected. Work felt less heavy. The prince ate simple food with them sometimes. He listened to their stories. He learned about their families and dreams. He saw pain, hope, and strength in their words. He did not promise big things. He only listened and remembered. Trust grew quietly. The palace felt warmer. The prince no longer felt alone. He understood that leadership was not about standing high. It was about standing together. Each evening, he returned to his room tired but peaceful. He knew he was learning something important. Something books could never teach. One servant named Elias became close to the prince. Elias was not young, but he worked with care. He spoke slowly and wisely. He told the prince that respect gives people strength. He said that when leaders listen, hearts open. The prince remembered these words deeply. Elias never spoke with fear. He spoke with truth. The prince saw him as a teacher. Through Elias, he learned patience. Through others, he learned kindness. The prince understood that every person carried a story. Every story mattered. This understanding shaped his heart day by day. He no longer saw servants as helpers only. He saw them as people with value and dignity. One afternoon, the prince saw a servant crying quietly in the garden. He sat near her and waited. After some time, she spoke. She missed her home and felt tired. The prince did not rush to speak. He listened. Then he spoke gentle words. He said her feelings were real and important. He told her she was not alone. The servant felt comforted. This small moment showed the prince the power of presence. He learned that helping did not always mean doing work. Sometimes, it meant sharing silence. From that day, he tried to be present with people. He learned to feel with them, not above them. His heart grew deeper with every shared moment. When the king returned, he walked through the palace and noticed many changes. The palace was clean, but more than that, it felt alive. Servants worked with calm faces. Laughter was soft but real. He saw the prince helping and listening. The king stopped and watched quietly. He felt proud. He called the prince and asked about his days. The prince spoke honestly. He spoke about work, people, and lessons. He did not boast. He spoke with humility. The king smiled. He told the prince that true rulers serve before they lead. He said strength comes from kindness and respect. The prince listened carefully. He knew these words were true. The king gathered everyone in the hall. He thanked the servants for their work. He praised the prince for learning with heart. He said the palace was strong because people cared for each other. The servants felt proud and seen. The prince felt thankful. He knew this was only the beginning. He promised himself to never forget these days. He promised to lead with kindness. The palace returned to its calm rhythm, but something had changed forever. A bond had formed. Trust had grown. Respect lived in every corner. The prince carried this lesson inside him like a quiet light. Years passed, and the prince became king. He ruled with care. He listened before he spoke. He remembered names and faces. He worked to make life fair and kind. People loved him not because of power, but because of heart. They remembered how he once worked beside them. They trusted him. Peace grew in the kingdom. This story reminds us that leadership begins with respect. When we see others as equal, we build harmony. When we serve with love, we grow stronger together. Kindness can change homes, palaces, and hearts.